I don't see myself as, as leaving, of course. I've been part of the Rider Nation for basically my whole life, and I'll continue to be part of, and I feel good about the people that are here. But it's a timing thing, and what works for me in my life. I am 63. I'll be 64 at the end of the contract, and was sort of what's best for me and my situation, but what's best for the club. And I tried to be unselfish in the decision, and maybe I'll probably think back and think maybe I should have been more selfish, but at this point in time, I'm comfortable.
Jim Hopson gets a lot of the credit for his time being in the Rough Riders. They went from a franchise that was struggling financially, successfully on the field and whatnot, to being arguably one of the best run franchises in North America, one of the most financially well off. Jim is like the quarterback of the team. I think a lot of the respect and a lot of credit has to go to the board. Jim would go to the board with his ideas. They would clear him to make those decisions, make those calls, and he would go out there and make the final call. And I think that's overlooked. That I think it's a successful board that Jim just kind of was the quarterback of and really led this franchise into the position now that they're going to a new stadium in 2017 in really, really good shape.
The one big challenge you're faced with is Jim has been our CEO and our only CEO, so most people will suggest we're going to try and replace Jim Hopson. Well, we're not. We're going to try and replace the CEO position. I mean, it's not the individual, it'll be the position we look for. So the full details will come available here in the next little while, but there's some work yet to be done by the board of directors and with the consulting group to define exactly what we're looking for.
It was interesting today. I like the fact that they have some sort of a succession plan to replace Jim. I think they haven't got the man in place. They're going to go for a headhunter and they're going to find the right man. I do think it's going to be a very popular job. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in it. And I think it's a job people are going to want to do. This is a good franchise. It's in good shape. It's going to a new stadium, as I said before. They're winning. They're coming off a Grey Cup, and they've got a whole year now to find a successor to Jim Hopson, who really is the blueprint for what you want in a CEO and president. I think the Riders are going to do very well in finding a replacement for Jim.
I have gone full circle, and being a player and then leaving, and that was hard. That was really hard. I struggled with that for a long time about not being a player anymore. But you adjust, you move on, and maybe that's helped me here, realizing there is life afterwards. One
of my first impressions of Jim Hopson was back in 2007 when the Riders had their first home playoff game since 1988. And they're selling out, and there were no seats available, and fans were complaining and saying, how can they do this, season ticket holders? And Jim Hopson went out in front of Mosaic Stadium and talked to the people and did interviews in front of those people. And he stood up and he said, bring it on. We welcome these kind of issues. We welcome having too many people, not enough product and too many people. And that really impressed me. And it kind of, as I've watched him go through his career as the CEO and president, I've always thought back to that day that he stood out in front of Mosaic Stadium and just took all the crap from the fans about there not being enough space for a home playoff game for them to watch it.
It's been a heck of a ride. And if we could have predicted half of this success 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I think we would have been pretty happy, and we've really been able to do many wonderful things, and it has been a complete team effort from top to bottom.